So, Zambians head to the polls tomorrow, Thursday, in a general election that's become far closer than expected. Well, this is what people are saying. President Hakainde Hichilema is seeking a second term on the back of a major economic turnaround. Inflation down sharply, new mining investment flowing in, and foreign reserves built. But many voters say that these things haven't trickled down to them. They haven't felt that recovery in their own pockets, with the cost of living and power shortages still dominating daily life. Well, of the 14 candidates on the ballot, the real contest now has narrowed to two: Hakainde Hichilema and Brian Mundubile, a former government chief whip, now leading the opposition Tonze Alliance. Well, to help us understand what's at stake, we're now joined by Dr Eustone Chiputa, who's a historian and political analyst based in Lusaka. Dr. Chiputa, always good to talk to you. Thanks so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
So, voting day is just a day away now. Is the race as close as people think it is, or is it a case that the incumbent has done enough?
Well, it depends on how one looks at the race. But yes, at first sight, it appears extremely close and quite tight. But when you look at the statistics on the ground, particularly in terms of between the two, how they have featured their parliamentary candidates, their mayoral candidates, town council candidates, and their ward election candidates, perhaps one would want to believe that, well, not even believing the statistics show that President Hakainde Hichilema's United Party for National Development is ahead, because the Tonse Alliance candidate, Brian Mundubile, I think in terms of parliamentary candidates, they do not have all the 226 seats contested. They do not have all the mayoral and the town council chairpersons candidates contested. They also do not have all the wards, that is the local government seats, contested. So on that score, perhaps they are a match behind. But in terms of popular support, in terms of the numbers of people attending rallies, one would want to think that, yes, they are match for match.
The continent is a very youthful continent, I believe average age 19. And what we know for sure is if young people showed up in their numbers, they could actually change the game. Are young Zambians going to the polls, do you think? And if so, who does that favor?
Well, when we look at the voters register, unlike 2021, when the voters register was predominantly youthful with 54% then, this year the number has dropped to somewhere around 46%. But instead, it's the women who are 53, almost 54%, leading the pack of voters on the register. Out of the 8.7 million voters, the majority are women. For the youth, in my view, perhaps many of their demands in terms of public sector jobs are being fulfilled. In terms of education, free education for their younger brothers and sisters, the UPND, I think, has done a wonderful job. In terms of university and college education, particularly in terms of sponsorship, the UPND government has rolled out a very robust program for paying their fees, university fees, college fees, and establishment, especially also for community skills training centers, where again people are getting free training and setting up their own small businesses or going on to get jobs in either in the informal sector or even in the formal sector. So on that score, the youth seem to have had a satisfactory take out of the 5 years of the UPND. Perhaps that could explain why their numbers have dropped, because their population in terms of demographics in the nation have not dropped. They keep surging. So one wonders why their numbers have gone down. However, as to how enthusiastic they will be tomorrow when voting, that will be seen by the queuing, because when you look at what happened in 2021, by 04, the queues were meandering literally everywhere. And so we want to see tomorrow what happens, whether the youth will have the same enthusiasm as they showed in 2021.
So, a curious thing, statistically, Hakainde Hichilema has done well. Lower inflation, new mining investment, more foreign reserves. I suppose it's difficult to measure when you're a citizen that life could have been worse had he not intervened if life is uncomfortable. And that's his challenge, isn't it? To say inflation is down, but if you're having a hard life, your brain can't process it could be worse.
Well, that is correct. If you look solely at the picture within Zambia, yes. But if you are maybe at our level in terms of understanding the external economic environment and looking at other countries that have gone through this process and are quite successful today, perhaps one would be comforted in saying that you do not abandon a well when you're just about to strike water and then start digging another well. But then for those that have had no water for a long time, they are not sure whether you're about to strike water or not. What they want is water. So they would easily drift to whoever says we'll find water at 50 meters and not 100 meters. What I'm saying is simply that for people to buy the idea that the economy will certainly become a lot better now that the fundamentals have been stabilized, it's difficult a situation to sell to the ordinary people who think that previously perhaps things were a lot better because things were subsidized, electricity was cheaper, transport was cheaper, this or that. Everything was cheaper than things are today. So it is difficult to convince such people that things will be a lot better. But yes, those that are realistic may agree that going forward, things should be a lot better than they have been under the austerity measures that we have undergone since 2021.
All right, very briefly, because we've run out of time. Has Mundubile managed to gather the opposition forces? Because that's been a challenge of opposition politics in Zambia for some time.
Well, to an extent, yes, but also they are still fragmented, because if you look at 14 presidential candidates, that tells you a story that the UPND is not just up against Mundubile, it's up against various others. And apparently one independent presidential candidate, a lady, is also standing against President Hakainde Hichilema and the rest of the pack. So the situation is quite fluid, because there are other opposition candidates who have been in the mix from as far back as 2015, 2016, who have been standing as opposition political party candidates, and therefore the the opposition has not really totally rallied behind Mundubile. There are various groupings, even among the opposition political parties.
All right, Dr. Chiputa, we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks so much indeed for your analysis. I'm pretty sure we'll have interesting conversations soon after the election. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that's Dr. Eustone Chiputa, a political analyst and a historian based in Lusaka, Zambia, giving us his thoughts ahead of the elections tomorrow.
Your life,